player's initial build in Dark Souls 1 can be one of the most impactful decisions they make in the series. As the starting point for many players into the From Software catalog, grabbing a usable weapon and pumping souls into the right levels can set the pace for how someone engages with everything from Bloodborne to Elden Ring. So it sure would be nice if From Software hadn't laid out a bunch of terrible trap weapons that promise high damage, but either fail to scale at higher levels, or drop off hard in the endgame. That's the situation the Astora's Straight finds itself in. The flagship weapon of flagship weapons. This is the sword they put on the box for Remastered. It's the main weapon shown on the preview screen on PS4 and 5. The only saving grace is that PC players are spared of the beautiful lie that is this weapon, because From Software knew better than to put it on the Steam page. It is truly that terrible of a weapon. But how terrible exactly? Howdy, I'm Prakuza, and welcome to DevBox, where today we're going to ask the question, is the Astora's Straight Sword as bad as you think? I both hope this video succeeds and fails because damn am I going to hate to see sticking to YouTube meta actually pay off. I mean, still, watch, like, and subscribe. Maybe even head over to the Patreon or check out my book linked in the description. But still, sucks to be making videos to chase the algorithm, as can be seen from my character's name. Alright, so how are we starting this? Well, returning viewers will probably already know what to expect. We're doing the Asylum Demon skip, the one I know better at least, and making our way through the Asylum without killing any bosses. Why? Well, no real reason, but considering that I originally started this run under the title, Can You Beat Dark Souls Ass Only? I wasn't letting myself kill any bosses with anything other than the Astoras. That being said, I don't come back to kill this boss later, so Asylum and Stray Demon both get to survive all the way to the end here. Instead, we head into Lordvessel proper, and immediately head down into the Valley of the Drakes to pick up our weapon for the run. I also grabbed the Dragon Crest shield, but I've got a bit of a cosplay build I'm looking to run here, so I won't be hanging on to this forever. This, of course, pisses off the zombie dragon, but we can run away safely and make it through to Darkroot Garden. Now, the Black Knight here is a bit of an early obstacle. Not because I need to kill him in order to actually get through, but because my own personal habits won't let me walk past this guy without parrying him to death, or dropping him off the ledge. In this case, since I don't have the stats to actually wield my ass properly, I go for a slick parry to backstab combo to throw his ass off the ledge. This is also followed by the painstaking task of killing this crystal lizard for the Twinkling Titanite. Then grab the Elite Knight armor to get the Oscar cosplay started, although not completely online. And while I'm here, I also grab the Wolf Ring for the extra poise. If the damage so far is indicative of the rest of the game, this is going to be rough. So, we should work on upgrading the weapon, and spend some of the souls I've picked up on the way to make sure I can wield it. But we don't have enough souls to use all of our Twinkling Titanite, which means we should start hunting down some more parts of the build before we head for any bosses. This starts with heading back to the Asylum and killing Oscar. Sorry about that, Oscar, but you're hollow at this point, and I can put your shield to much better use. You know what? How about some words for the fallen? Worry not, O Elite... Wait, we've already done that bit to death. How about I instead masquerade around as Oscar and act out as if he's the one ringing the bells and killing Gwen? It's what he would have wanted. Totally. And with this shit weapon, something he'd have never gotten done. Not with those fat rolls. Alright, drip is complete. Time to kill... Havel. Yeah, we're never going back for Asylum or Stray Demon. In fact, laying all cards on the table right now, we're not going all bosses, because honestly, I don't want this to be another hour-long trek through Lordvessel. Instead, we're taking a quicker path to the end, and that means parry-looping Havel for his ring. Does that put us in light load? No. Does that take us out of fat-rolling territory? Good enough. Now, while I won't be going all bosses, I do take on the stupid Hydra for DLC access later. If anything is going to prove the power, or lack thereof, of this ass, then it's going to be the bosses in Ulasile. But we're getting ahead of ourselves there. For now, we've got base game bosses to get to. Starting with Gargoyles. Damn, we're like 5 minutes in and we're actually finally fighting a boss. I'm really slipping, huh? Enough for Gargs to even give me trouble? No, not really. The damage is, as the name suggests, pretty ass. But these guys aren't exactly that tough, even if I'm barely seeing yellow on that health bar. That won't be lasting until the end, by the way, except Gwyn. Gwyn will be easy. We have a parrying shield after all. Oh, but that's spoilers, we aren't there yet. Where we are instead is Quelaag. Yeah, no Gargoyle Capra combo. We don't need anything in the depths for this run, which means we won't be bothering with none of that early game stuff. Instead, we're going right from ringing the first bell to killing the Guardian of the second. So, how's that Guardian fight going? Well, our weapon is around +3 by now, and our next update won't be coming until we reach Anor Londo, which is going to be expensive when I'm not soul duping. Oh yeah, never mentioned that before, but I won't be soul duping at all for this run, or doing any skips outside of the Asylum Demon one. Why? Because it felt right for this one. Oh, but yeah, Quelaag goes down on the first try. But that's another one of those skill checks, rather than the weapon being good or bad enough to completely recontextualize the fight. That's kind of the theme here, actually, and why I really decided not to go for all bosses. There's really nothing outside of the any percent or the DLC that offers any meaningful challenge for a low damage build. So as a result, I ring the second bell without much extra effort. Alright, if Quelaag wasn't a problem, even with a low damage build, then Iron Golem can't possibly be an issue. Right? Right? Nah, a few poorly placed grabs aside, the living armor isn't much more than a speed bump. I don't even get him to trip over the ledge, but the Iron Golem still goes down all the same, and opens us on our way to Anor Londo. Once again, the location itself isn't much to write home about. Like, I'm really not sure if I can express exactly how boring this run has been up until now. It's a weapon that hits enemies, but doesn't hit as hard as others. I have to swing twice or 3 times in order to beat random mobs. I don't stagger as well as if I was using a heavier weapon. Riposts don't have the stopping power of something with more base or critical damage. Like, there's nothing really to say here that wasn't present in Blighttown. Hell, nothing's really gotten any harder than Undead Burg. It's honestly one reason that I prefer runs that either have me swapping gear semi-regularly, or otherwise handicap an entire part of my toolkit. This sword is both an ass weapon, and kind of an ass challenge as well. Maybe trying to twerk this flat slab of steel on the chunkiest thighs in all of Dark Souls will inject some much needed meat into this run. Well, it's a tough fight, and a long one for that matter, but I managed. After so many runs of this game, low damage isn't going to be enough to make this a real challenge. At least not for these two. Not anymore. Well, time to place the Lordvessel. Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh right, Sigmire. Back to Anor Londo, I guess. Not sure why I didn't do this the first time around, but hey Sigmire, you're free. Go on back to Firelink, will ya? Actually, the real reason is because I'd been bungling his questline up until this point and had to head back to Sen's Fortress to get him to move. But I didn't actually get any capture footage of that one. So we'll skip right to picking up the Emit Force spell from Sigmire back at Firelink. So, why did I pick this one up? Well, the weapon is one that has a divine affinity, the stuff that lets me permanently kill the bony boys in the catacombs without killing the necromancers, and scales with faith, although it scales better with strength and dexterity, which led me to test it out as the backbone of a proper faith build, complete with the use of miracles. But at the same time, I didn't want to throw up the lightning spear as an option, because I've played with that before, and it would quickly replace the Astora. So Emit Force is our ranged option for now. And the air quotes that I'm sure you heard there are because, well, yeah, not exactly looking down the barrel of a 50 cal here. Speaking of the bony boys, the catacombs is our next target. And we're already fighting Pinwheel. Do I really have to describe Pinwheel? No. No, I do not. Nito, on the other hand, is also pretty easy. That's actually why I came down here first, because I knew he'd be pretty simple, and I could use the souls I get from running through Tomb of the Giants, and the boss, to beef up my stats for the tougher ones to come. Yep, Nito. one of the 4 key bosses of the endgame, is being used as a soul farm. At least I can say that the sword is benefiting greatly from that divine affinity, because the bony boys stay dead, and so does Nito. Alright, time to head out and fight Seath. Why? Well, he's going to be the most resistant to my damage, but is also a complete pushover. So sure, let's go farm up some more souls. On the way into the Duke's Archives, the boars kinda do their own thing for a while. I kill the Crystal Knight, no problem. And get killed by Seath, no problem. Every time that curse ticks up, my sword tightens to the point of spitting out diamonds. Seath for real though? Yeah, he's fine. Nothing really to mention here. He only has like 3 attacks. Move in when he does the distant arc, move away when he does the close range arc, claw swipe, or explosion, move to the side when he does the straight line, and attack the giant spiky testicle whenever you can. Can you believe Guinevere came from that? And Priscilla was born shortly after. Boom! You thought I was mixing up the lore, but I was really being a pervert. And killing Seath. Bye, Seath! And hello, 4 kings! Time already for the next Lord Soul? Seems a bit early. Well, we talk to Ingward this time, instead of killing him mercilessly, and make our way down into the abyss. Right. Sif. In that case, time for a trip through Darkroot. And we can even go butterfly watching on the way. Not sure if I never knew the boss was visible from here, or if I'd forgotten it between the last time I learned and now. Memory is funny like that. Like not remembering to kill Sif before heading into Anor Londo. Some stuff doesn't like to pop into the mind when it's actually convenient. So, Sif, how's this fight go? Fairly well, I suppose. It's another long one, partially because my damage is absolute ass, get it? But also because Sif loves to jump around the arena. That being said, there's nothing about this boss's moveset that really causes issues, even if the fight itself drags on for a while longer than I'd prefer. And now we can actually drop down into the abyss and take on what I expected to be the hardest wall of this run. Was it? Surprisingly not. I mean, we don't pass the DPS check. Like, at all. But I think the game was feeling bad for me at this point, as if it noticed how absolutely terrible my damage is, and decided to give me an easy fight here. So, the other kings spawn, but they all, dance around the edge of the fight for a while. This takes so long to kill each one, it should clearly be a multi-fight against, 5 of them at once. But it never gets to that point. I really can't explain what's going on. Still, I guess we take those and get the 4 kings in one. Alright, time to go for the final Lord Soul, and the few bosses between here and there. That starts with Ceaseless doing ceaseless things and dropping him off the cliff. Always remember, folks, grab the garb and run like hell. Don't gotta bait or nothing. Then there's Demon Fire Sage. This is one reason I don't really bother with Asylum or Stray. I also don't need the Titanite slab for this weapon, so there was really no other point. Anyway, the Fire Sage goes down easy enough. Again, in line with the rest of this run, it's a long fight, but not a hard fight. This is really starting to feel like a Demon Souls run at this point. Well, anyway, we move on to the Centipede Demon, and what do you know, this one also goes down in one try. No getting yeeted out of the map bugs or anything, either. I suppose at this point, I can talk a little about the strat for using this weapon, because it's a little different than what I normally go for in DS1. The speed of the R2 is basically good enough that I don't really have to worry about it being too slow to hit anything, or leave me open during the recovery animations. So either the one-handed or two-handed R2 works wonders on most bosses. One-handed is often my go-to because the stab feels like it has better range, but that's definitely a case of preference, not a meta. And finally, we come across the Bed of Chaos. You know, after having already used Emit Force, I don't really see how the Firebomb method wouldn't be viable here. And yet, here I am, getting thrown into the void and missing my jumps. Yeah, it takes a few tries, but the sword is far from the problem here. The game, and my own platforming skills, are the real issue. But soon, it isn't, and we can move the fuck on. In that case, that means heading back to Firelink and filling the giant punch bowl with some delicious Sunny D. Oh yeah, taste that D. So from here on, we can move on ahead and go right to the final boss. Should we? Yes. Will we? You already know the answer. You're watching me fight Sanctuary Beast right now. Another first try, by the way. A long first try, but a first try nonetheless. And to think, I avoided the DLC in my first run because I was afraid I'd be too rusty. Now, I can get through the start of it with this piece of hot ass without issue. How about Artorias? Oh, that's how. Actually, no, it's not that bad. Like, not a first try kill this time, and I'm not even getting yellow damage on the health bar, but I've learned this fight, and a couple R2s can stop the buffing phase, if I get there in time. So yeah, not exactly a no problem fight, and it takes 10 minutes to take him down with this abysmal damage, but eventually Artorias is put down for good. Finally, we've got Manus and Calamite, and you might be wondering, hey, aren't those two separate enemies? Yes, but they share a distinct factor. That being, that with this low of damage, I don't have the patience to actually fight them both, since each of them can easily kill me with one misplaced dodge. In that case, throwing 10 minutes into each attempt does not sound like a lot of fun. So yeah, we're packing it in on this one. Time to go give Gwyn the old 1-2 dick stab-a-doo. So, Dark Souls with the Astora's Straight Sword. Is it really worse than you might think? Hard to say. I mean, as a challenge run, it really didn't make this all that interesting. Easy to pick up, lightweight, normal moveset. Nothing really all that crazy, to be honest. As a casual weapon, also not great. Like, I really pity anyone who goes for it for the first playthrough. And anyone more familiar with the game usually knows to stay away, and for good reason. The worst thing this weapon does isn't being weak. Being mid. Like, the only saving grace is the faith scaling to make a decent paladin build, but it scales better with strength and dex. So there's hardly even a point in dumping faith unless you're going for stronger miracles, which can easily replace the sword on their own. But you know what? I don't know if I really gave this weapon a fair shake. I mean, I used a pretty standard build, no major damage buffs aside from the Hornet Ring for riposts, and I never even got the scaling stats up to their soft caps. So what if we go back in time a bit and see what could have been in a different set of circumstances? How far can we pump this hot ass? Alright, let's get prepared. First, we need a couple souls of a great hero, materials to soul dupe. Then we need to gather up the red tearstone ring and power within. And finally, soul dupe until we're as close to 99 in strength, dex, and faith as we can get. Also grabbed health and endurance for light rolls and survivability, but honestly, could have sacrificed some of that extra vitality for more damage. Regardless, when we drop down to fight Manus again, with a glitched out, fully upgraded character in RTSR and power within hyper mode, and a +5 ass twerking on the hand man, it's about as good as a standard playthrough Black Knight sword without any buffs at base stats. And there's the rub. This weapon is truly pathetic. Not worth your time. Certainly not worth my time. And best left forgotten on the ground next to the zombie dragon in 99 out of 100 runs. Hey, it's that time again. The end of the video where I invite folks to come check out the Patreon, link in the description, and make good on the rewards for those currently pledged. Patreon members get early access to new content and their names written in the credits at the end of videos. And those who pledge $5 or more get their names read out, like Azul. Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching. And Calamite still stomped me.